Let's make some noise. Come on.
And thank you once again, Nick Foles, for that rousing introduction. That's right. Indeed, let's make some noise. Welcome back to the final word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy, MattyB. Hanging in there, man, on the call. Phillies, big-time win. We're going to continue that conversation. We got to, right? Phillies break the 4-game losing streak. Bats come back to life in Toronto, north of the Tour. 8-3 win over the Blue Jays. 60 games now, man. 60. God damn, where's the season going? I hate that. We are 60 games through this season. But the Phillies get the win. We'll continue that conversation. As the show dictates tonight, it's a bunch of this and that. I ain't going to lie to you, man. I spend maybe 7 minutes a day checking in on my network because I am just way busy. But we're going to get into some this and that. Basically, every topic is out there. If you guys want to talk about it, throw it up there, and we'll chat about it, all right? We got our other night segment, our card review, and our day in Philadelphia sports history on this Tuesday. See, I don't even know what day of the week it is, man. Tuesday night edition of the final word. Before we get going, let's kind of review the beautiful network that is the It's a Wrap Sports. Every Sunday, you need to be checking in on the PNM and the AM program. Sundays at 9 a.m., your Sunday shall never be the same. And then if you're into Union Soccer and the MLS is your bag, then check no further than the Attacking Third every Thursday at 9. And starting here very soon, because the football season is, yes, almost upon us. I guess that's the one positive thing about being 60 games into the baseball season. We are 60 games closer to the start of the football season. I guess you can kind of look at things like that. But the quintessential and Eagle pregame entertainment anywhere this side of the Mississippi River, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, will be coming at you during the entirety of the Philadelphia Eagles season. And, of course, the flagship show. That's right, man. The baby of the network. The Final Word with yours truly every Sunday through Thursday at 10:30, and I don't want to forget my main man, Pat Bernard, who's coming up right behind me as being the hardest working person on this network, and he may actually overtake me here over the next few weeks. But the wraparound with Pat Bernard every Friday at 10:30 as well. So make sure you're checking out all the quality programming here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And Ricky Deal is watching, and I'm thankful that you are, Ricky. Welcome back, Harper. Absolutely. Big night for old Bryce there in we're north of the border. Maybe this is where we need to be. Maybe we need to relocate, become the Ottawa Lynx again. Remember those days, guys? AAA Ottawa Lynx. Maybe we need to go back up there. I have distinct memories of Steve Jeltz in a baseball card wearing an Ottawa Lynx uniform. Again, no real rational, sane human being should ever have a picture of Steve Jeltz in a Ottawa Lynx baseball uniform burned into his mind, but I do. Harper tonight was 1 for 3 with 2 runs, an RBI, a homer. He walked twice, got on base every single time, raising up that batting average to 268, and was part of the offensive onslaught of 3 home runs tonight. 3, count them 3. That Phillies hitters went off on the beleaguered Toronto Blue Jay pitching staff. Bowden Francis at 1 inning and a half, 7 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, gives up 2 home runs, 58 pitches through an inning and a half. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, baby. 6-run first inning for the Phillies. But you know I got to be the naysayer of naysayers, correct? You know I got to throw in the wrench into the works, right? We got 6 runs in the first, 7 runs to the first 2 innings, and then absolutely nothing until the 8th. This is the problem, folks. This is the problem with this team. It's either feast and or famine. I got it. 7 runs is nothing to shake a stick at through first 2 innings, but it is the first 2 innings of the game, and this is Major League Baseball. And I know as I speak, I'm dealing with a bunch of 12-year-olds right now in a baseball tournament. And I've seen teams come back from a 15-run onslaught of a first inning and win games. And that's at the low level. So, I mean, you're talking here at the major league level, you get a 7-run in 2 innings, but then you got nothing to show for it until the 8th. This is the problem, and it's still not fixed. And yeah, I am going to be a naysayer because this is what is going to get this team caught up. This is what has gotten this team caught up over the last few years. The offensive slumber that this team goes through for what? I mean, 75% of the game. It's either they're not going to score nothing early because they're bogged down by the starting pitching. They have to wait till they get to the team's bullpen, and then they go off late. They're relying on their starting pitching to keep them hanging around, which tonight Sanchez was okay. I mean, he's been okay all year. Has he lived up to the contract extension, everybody? Has Chris Sanchez 60 games into 2025? Well, when did he sign the deal? Was it last season? It was like, what? Around this time? Wasn't it around this time last season he signed the big contract extension? Has he lived up to that in your mind? I'm not here to say either way because my verdict is still out. But Chris Sanchez on the night, 6 innings of work. It's meh to me because in those 6 innings, he threw 96 pitches. You're never going to sell me that an effective start or an effective outing consisted of a 6-inning effort with 96 pitches. You're never going to convince me that. I don't care what era of baseball we're sitting in. I don't care if this is the analytical. We don't care about strikeouts. We don't care about other things than velo and exit velocity and all that. You're never going to sell me on 6 innings and 96 pitches. It's never going to work. I'm sorry. Yeah, 96. You're never going to sell that on me. 4 hits. It was a run, earned 4 walks and 4 strikeouts. He gave up 4 hits to his credit, but 96 pitches through 6 innings is labored. That's the absolute definition of a labored start. So offense goes to sleep again for them 75% of this game. Sanchez nibbles around with 6 innings of 96 pitch baseball. And the Phillies were able to hold on and hold them off. It's the Blue Jays, for God's sakes. The Blue Jays are not the perennial team in the AL that we got to be worried about. And they hold on to the 8-3 win. And it got hairy. Got hairy there at the end when the Blue Jays hit that 2-run shot there in the 8th inning. Things were starting to get a little steamy, I would say. But yes, Harper, way beyond that point, Harper is back and looking fly with his haircut as it's starting to grow back in. Flying by when you're having fun. Flying by when you're having fun. Yeah, well, Steve, I don't want it to be flying by. Thankfully, and I've said this before, baseball has the shortest offseason of all the majors, and that's great. That's a great thing, and it keeps me going, keeps me warm through those winter nights, plotting my revenge, knowing that baseball, even though it ends, it's going to be back in 4 months. So, but still, I'm not digging 60 games. Can we turn it back to about 30? Ricky, how are you doing tonight, man? Good to hear from you tonight. Joe, hey, what's up, man? Ryan checks back in. Ryan, how you doing, man? It's good to see you back again. I know we've been having some sort of issues with our Facebook feed when it comes to this show. I don't know if Facebook has it again out for me too, but I know at times it's kind of wonky, but tonight it looks like it's going, it's in, it's good. And then Star Wars checks in with the what a game with the Turner. 2 for 5, 3 hits, 3 RBIs. He had the 2 big home runs, 305, his average is up to 305. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I've never gotten off the Trey Turner bus. I was never on the standing ovation thing either. I still like Trey Turner, and I still believe in my deepest heart there, Star Wars, that he belongs leading off on this baseball team. He does it on my team in the show, on my show baseball game. I've been running the show 21 since about 2022, and I've been playing the Phillies every single season. Just to give you an update, we are wrapping up the 2027 season as we speak right now. And I try to keep the Phillies as current as I can based on what's happening in the real world on this game. And Trey Turner, of course, is on my team. Turner currently, as we are in the final 6 games of the 2027 season, he's got 65 home runs, is driven in about 115 runs, all from the leadoff spot. And he's batting about 368, all from the leadoff spot. And he's been batting leadoff on my team since he was acquired by the Phillies. And I've inserted him there. And I believe, and by the way, I've won 6 straight World Series titles, and I'm going for number 7 this year. So I got me a dynasty rolling on the show 21. But I'm surprised the game hasn't crashed on me. It's so damn old. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in what Trey Turner can provide a team. I don't think he's a number 2. I still believe he's a number 1, and he's a leadoff guy. I would love the Phillies to commit to him full time as a leadoff guy. I know it's probably not going to happen because we're under this impression that Bryson Stott is the leadoff guy. The leadoff tracker, by the way, if you guys are keeping track at home, Trey Turner has now led off 17 times. Bryson Stott has led off 34 times. Kyle Schwarber has thankfully only led off 9 times. But I still believe in my heart of hearts that Trey Turner, who can when he's Trey Turner in, can be that contact small ball, hit to all fields, leg out a single into a double, then swipe you third base, put you 90 feet away from the opening run. He can do that as well as launch the ball over the fence. What was one of our first memories of Trey Turner as a Philly, right? What was one of our first memories? To me, it was the WBC in 2023, where he was playing for Team USA. And he led the tournament with 9 home runs, or he had like 7 home runs throughout that tournament. Now, granted, that's not necessarily his game. And I think they had him leading off. I think he was leading off for Team USA back in the 2023 WBC, if memory serves correct. But I still believe he's a prototypical leadoff guy. I believe that's where he would be most effective. But 2 for 5 tonight. Can't shake a stick at that. Ricky has been asking for the phone lines to be open all day long. We'll get to that. All right. We'll open up the phone lines a little bit later on in the show. I promise we'll do it. But the thing is, you guys got to bring something to the table because I am running on empty here. I don't have much to talk about tonight other than the Phillies and our standard stuff that we talk about every night on the program. So bring me some topics and I will open up the damn phone lines. I just answered that question. So let's pause there because we got to get back into the heart and meat of the show. Here's the situation, right? Our day in Philadelphia sports history. So let's get to it. Let's strap it in, strap it on, strap it up, put your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times, and let's roll. On this night back in 1975, your Philadelphia Flyers ripe off of winning their second straight Stanley Cup. So we have 2 Stanley Cup championships, right? We are the reigning dynasty currently in the National Hockey League, which pissed off everybody at that time that a team like the Flyers is sitting atop of the NHL world in dynasty mode. But on this night, the Flyers were able to get creative and found their way to acquiring and having the only time in their franchise's history, the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming 1975 NHL draft. So the Flyers, 2 Stanley Cup championships, and pull off a trade tonight to get the number 1 overall pick in the NHL to boot. So with all that, so the Flyers made a couple of influential moves in the 1975 NHL entry draft for ultimately insignificant hockey players. So all the great moves they made to maneuver themselves up to number 1 ended up being sort of what the Flyers have been all along, really bad drafters. Trading the 18th pick, who turned out to be Don McLean, to a former team broadcaster, Bill Clement. You guys remember Bill? The Flyers wrestled the number 1 overall pick away from the Capitals, while the Flyers would go on and select Mel Bridgman as that number 1 overall pick. Now, Bridgman had a very uninspiring career with the Flyers. He never really lived up to the expectations. The Flyers sent him along. I think he pretty much had his best days as a pro with the Devils, or I should say with the Rockies, and then the Devils when they moved to New Jersey in the early 80s. So Bridgman was that number 1 pick that we selected. Again, not necessarily he never really lived up to the expectations. Where have we heard that before from a Flyer player? But Bridgman ended up lasting 17 years in the NHL, mostly with the Devils / Rockies, or Rockies / Devils. In addition, though, the Flyers made some history in this draft. With their final pick in the 75 draft in the 9th round, the Flyers selected the first ever Soviet-born hockey player in Viktor Ketotoloyev. The pick was thrown away, however, as the USSR had no intentions of releasing the young left winger to come to the United States. So the Flyers set a trend by selecting the first ever Russian-born player, but back in the USSR days, in the Iron Curtain, they said, "Nyeh, he's not coming." So the trade or the pick got voided, and the Flyers didn't get a redo. So on this night back in '75, in a nutshell, the Flyers, fresh off their second Stanley Cup championship, were able to maneuver a trade to pick up the first overall pick in the NHL draft, which they ended up taking Mel Bridgman, who did not really live up to the expectations, and then moved on to the Devils or the Avalanche. Is it the Rock? Was it the Colorado Rockies? The Rockies. Then the Devils, where he had a serviceable career. I mean, 17 years, you could get, that's a career. And the Flyers also would go ahead and pick a Russian player that the communist government of the USSR said "nyeh" to, and he never got him. So there you go. There's your day in Philadelphia sports history, NHL Flyers draft related. And we're starting, that's coming here about 3 weeks. We got the 2025, 26 or 2025 NHL entry draft from Los Angeles, I believe, is where it's going to be held this year. And the Flyers will be picking 6th and I think 23rd and 28th, if memory serves correct. Now, no, that 28th pick is about to go down to like probably 31, with the Oilers returning to the finals when they rematch against the Florida Panthers, which I truly believe the same result will happen. But then they have 7 picks in the first 2 rounds. So another potential influential draft situation for the Flyers here in 2025, just as it became for them in 1975. Now, there's a lot of differences, of course, between the 2 years. The Flyers are not coming off of 2 Stanley Cup championships, and the organization is somewhat in dishevelment. But there you go. There was your day in Philadelphia sports history. Aiden Miller had 3 RBIs for Reading tonight. Him and Crawford need to be called up. Steve, we've been beating on this drum for weeks and months, and seems like forever. And interesting side note for all of you, though, all of you, goddamn, that track minor league baseball. Dave Dombrowski is currently on the road with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. They're in Charlotte to play the Charlotte Knights, the White Sox AAA affiliate. And Dave Dombrowski is on the trip, has made the trip with the team. So, what do you take of that? What is that about? Why is Dave Dombrowski going on a road trip with the AAA Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs? Is this an opportunity for Dave to sit down and get a fresh, I am now going to devote myself to seeing what Otto Kemp could potentially be in the major league level, or to see what Justin Crawford could be as a Philadelphia Philly? Is this the preamble to some major moves coming from below? Maybe not necessarily, and I hope it is. I hope this is what it is, about calling some players up, but it's probably twofold. You're probably looking at potential of calling some players up, but Dombrowski also could be looking at developing some realistic trade opportunities for this team by using some of these players as leverage. But Dave Dombrowski is in Charlotte tonight, along with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. He has made the trip to Charlotte with the Pigs this week. Now, again, for those of you that track minor league baseball, especially at the AAA level, pretty sure all levels do it, they play week-long series against teams. So this week, from Tuesday to Sunday, the Pigs will be in Charlotte playing the Knights all week long. That's how they do it. They take Monday off, and then they reset. They go on to the next week-long series. There's not that many teams out there in AAA in the International League, so that's how they do it to kind of fill up the time. So Dave's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina for the next 6 days. So if you guys want to get a bird's eye view of your general manager, or I shouldn't say your general manager, your president of baseball operations, head on down to Charlotte and check out the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs playing the Charlotte Knights. But interesting, I think, that is happening. According to manager Rob Thompson, the Phillies will shut down Andrew Painter during the All-Star break, which runs from July 14th to the 17th. There's no signs that he would have before then, but there has been. What? There has been. Have been then, but there has been no set date for his debut. Jeez, Stars, man, you all right? He's kind of tailed off there with that one. I get what you're saying. So I find that very interesting too. First of all, Why is Rob Thompson making statements about Andrew Painter? Andrew Painter doesn't play for the Phillies. Andrew Painter plays for Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Why is Rob Thompson sitting there saying, we're going to shut down a pitcher right before the All-Star break? Why would you do that? Why would you throw kerosene on the burning building that is this situation right now? And then you're just going to stoke the fire even more by setting not an approximate time. No, man, Rob Thompson's putting like a spotlight on the All-Star break, saying, you know what, this is the time that we're probably going to be bringing him up. Why would you do that, man? Why would you put yourself in the crosshairs of that? The All-Star break is what, 6 weeks away? I mean, we are still very much, I am going to say we're over 30 games away from the All-Star break. That's a significant amount of time, and a lot of things can happen. So to make that comment, and I know the organization didn't tell him to do that, and I know that I don't think he was reading a press release. That's ridiculous. Why would you do that? And those are the types of things that bother me about Rob Thompson. I mean, it bothers me. You shouldn't do that. Now you're putting pressure not only on you as the team. Okay, Rob, we're at the All-Star break. What are you doing? You're putting pressure on Andrew Painter. You're putting timeline on his start. So you got 6 weeks between now and the All-Star break. Painter's pitched last week, so he's got one coming up. So he's got 5 or 6 starts to prove himself at the AAA level. I mean, is that a wise thing to do to that young man's head? To say, you know what, you better figure it all out in the next 6 weeks because it's going to be go time after that. And why are we doing that? I don't see a pressing need to bring Andrew Painter up here at all. I've said this before. The starting pitching is not the problem with this baseball team. And right now you have a somewhat of a wild card in Mick Abel getting set to pitch tomorrow? No, see, today's Tuesday, right? Thursday night. Why are we doing this? What are we going to expand the rotation out to? 8 pitchers? I mean, I understand we all want to see him, and I understand that he is the future. But the starting rotation, in my opinion, is not your number one issue. The number one issue is the offense. So as long as is Andrew Painter going to DH? I mean, are we going to turn Andrew Painter into Shohei Ohtani? Is he that kind of guy? I mean, I haven't seen him bat, but I mean, are the Phillies holding something back? Do we have a Shohei Ohtani in our midst with Andrew Painter? Is he going to help the offense too? So I understand why you want to see him. But if Mick Abel is ready and he clicks and he rides a wave through the All-Star break and then potentially through the rest of the season, are you going to keep treating Mick Abel like a friggin' yo-yo, up and down, up and down, up and down? Or does Mick Abel, who is a former first-round draft pick himself, deserve the opportunity to kind of scratch out a Major League Baseball career? So why are we doing this? Why would he say that? It's stupid. It's putting pressure on people that the pressure doesn't need to be put on. And that's one of the reasons why I cannot stand Rob Thompson, man. I mean, I don't understand the reasoning for that statement. Man, again, all or nothing. I'm way behind on the comments, Ryan. What are we talking about? Or nothing what? Mike Papp says, good win tonight. Yeah, it was. Michael, listen, anytime you break a 4-game winning streak, anytime your offense can go off for 8 runs, and especially this offense right now, the way they've been just so inept and inconsistent, it's good to see that they're kind of riding the wave back. You know, you got 2 more with Toronto. You got 3 against Pittsburgh. We're gonna continue with this very unhealthy cycle of getting down, getting up. You know, all is well in the world, or all sucks when they play good teams and get swept, and all is right in the world when they they'll beat a decent team in the Blue Jays and they'll go out and sweep the Pirates, and then all of a sudden we're back again in this. We're like in an abusive relationship. You know what I'm saying? You know, we lose 5 straight to or we get swept by the Brewers. We call the cops. The cops come to the house. They ask us a bunch of questions. And we say, you know what, officer, we're going to get ready to play the Blue Jays. So I'm okay. No, I don't want to press charges. I don't mean to make light of domestic abuse. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm trying to prove a point here is that, you know, when are we going to finally say, yes, I'm pressing charges, please? This has got to stop. I can't continue on this cycle. But again, I'm not trying to make light of domestic abuse, so please don't take it that way. But that's what it kind of seems like to me. And I think it's sick. I think it's a sick warp cycle we're in, man. It's sick. Sick. Are we calling it tonight? I think we are, Ricky. I think later on I'm going to open them up. I think I will. I think Facebook issues are when you have to click on the picture to see the live stream. The live stream? Ugh. Somebody's live streaming lice. Sometimes it won't show live on the page, so you're forced to click on the picture. Yeah, I get that, but why? Why is there sometimes it works and sometimes why is sometimes the live stream up there on the homepage and sometimes it's not? That's the question I want answered. I can't wait to see Abel pitch tomorrow. He's pitching tomorrow? I thought he was pitching on Thursday. Is tomorrow Thursday? Anybody help me out, man? I think I'm losing time. Is tomorrow Thursday? Let's see. When is Mick Abel pitching? Yeah, okay, he's pitching tomorrow. He ain't pitching Thursday. No, he is. Yeah, he is. Wait, when the hell is he pitching? Mick Abel is pitching tomorrow against Jose Barrios. So there you go. Good job. So Mick Abel will pitch tomorrow against Jose Barrios. I'm absolutely looking forward to. I am looking forward to it as well. I can't wait. I think Mick Abel. We might have something here, man. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the 6 years in the minor leagues worked. Maybe he got everything worked out and he's ready to go. But Bryson can do that also. But can he, though? I mean, really, can he? We've seen them do it. We've seen them not do it. We've seen them just be. I don't know. Does Bryson Stott provide any of that power that Trey Turner has at the top of the lineup? Bryson Stott is pretty much power depleted, right? If Bryson Stott can get on base like consistently, I wouldn't have much of an issue with it. But I just for some odd reason cannot turn myself on to the idea of Bryson Stott leading off every day. I'm not bought in, and I don't know if I ever will be. I just don't see him as a leadoff hitter. I am honestly, Bryson Stott to me is a 7, 8, or 9 guy, and it's not a 4-letter word in this day and age to put somebody down batting and at the other side of the lineup. It's not. Those days are over. The minute that the National League went to the DH, that whole mystique about batting 8th, went away. It's a 9-person lineup now. And you got to be strategic with the lower part of your lineup as well as the top part of your lineup. The days of just throwing it out away at 9 and then having the shortstop, and again, I use this all the time, the Yvonne De Jesus batting 8th, those days are over. You now have a 9-batter lineup that you can run strategy all the way up and down it. So there's nothing taboo about Bryson Stott batting lower in the lineup. And I honestly, I know what I see, right? But again, this team is not constructed properly. This lineup is not proper. We got multiple players who bring we have multiple players who bring the same skill set. Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, hell, who else we could throw into that list there? I guess they bring the same skill set. You got Bohm, Kepler, and Castellanos all kind of have the same thing going on. Harper, Harper and Schwarber. There's all kinds of all this similarity. And if you're not going to try to balance the lineup, and I'm not going to say like lefty righty because I think that's outdated anymore when it comes to this stuff. But if you're not going to try to balance the lineup, then you got to try to disperse the lineup and try to spread these guys out. And yeah, maybe that's bouncing. I don't know, but why not utilize 1 through 9 and have Bryson Stott bat 9th? If Bryson Stott can get on in front of Trey Turner leading off, I mean, potential more RBI situations. I don't look at Bryson Stott as an RBI guy. I don't. I can't seem to turn myself on to him being a table setter. So just not feeling it, man. I'm not feeling Bryson Stott as a leadoff guy for all the reasons why I said. Turner doesn't walk enough, though. Stott does see tons of pitches and works deep counts. And yeah, again, are we trying to jack up pitch counts on the first batter of the game? Are we trying to do that? You can throw adrenaline for the first 35 pitches. I mean, I know he does. He he sets the tone of at bat. He sets the tone of the at bat. He sets the tone of the inning, kind of. But Ryan, you were talking about an extremely undisciplined lineup to begin with. And Bryson Stott fouling off 8 to 11 pitches, or working a 7 or 8 pitch count or at bat, goes out the window 3 batters later when they're out of the inning and the pitcher only has thrown 15 pitches because everybody else is swinging first pitch. I understand what you're saying. Why can't Bryson Stott do that lower in the lineup when the pitcher's got a little bit less gas to throw? So again, I get it. I'm telling you, I'm not like dead set against it. I just, for a personal reason, I'm just not turned on to it. Bryson's again. Okay, that's great. Again, that's an analytic. That's analytics to me. I mean, you can make an argument for that working well as him, the leadoff hitter, as well as him working down lower in the lineup. I'm just not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. And I think we brought Turner here and paid him all that damn money, and he's proven he can lead off. I mean, he's led off in Washington, split time leading off in LA. Nobody's committed to him for whatever reason, because maybe he's too streaky. I'm telling you, I think he is the prototypical 21st century leadoff hitter, and I think it's negligent. The Phillies don't see that, and I don't know if Turner will ever get a chance to play for somebody else, another team. But whoever decides to lead him off and sticks with him, I think they're going to get rewarded. Hey, Barbara, what's up? How's your umpiring thingy going, hon? It's going. It's going. We are coming to the end of the first week. I've done, how many games have I done? I've done 1 on Sunday, 3 on Monday, 2 today, 2 tomorrow, and 1 on Wednesday. Right, Wednesday. Yeah, I have 1 on Wednesday. So what's that? 9 games so far, like 7 plates. I've been on the plate 7 times. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough first week, but it's all I'm having a blast. Dodgers are helping the Phillies by beating the Mets so far. Yeah, we're getting some help, man. But don't forget, the Phillies got to play the Dodgers too, and the Mets. Phillies will rack up wins against those horrible Blue Jays and Pirates teams. Yeah, Barbara comes swooping in to provide some reason, some justification. Again, I went on a little rant about that, not equating it to domestic abuse, but sort of saying, you know what, we're like the Phillies are, the fan base is like that. We get beat up by the Phillies, right? We get beat up by them when they play decent teams. And then just as we call the cops to say we want them arrested and out of our lives, the cops show up and we change our story and we say everything's fine, whatever. And because they start beating teams like the Pirates and, teams like that. It's a sick cycle, Barbara. It's warped. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know how to. I guess it's just about getting things, and I don't want to do this either. I don't want to fast forward to October. I want to enjoy the last 102 baseball games we have left. God, we're 3 games away from having less than 100 games left. Oh my God. But I want to enjoy the next 102 games and be critical of them and be reactionary of them and be realistic about them all at the same time. And but it's all about October. It truly is. It's all about what we are going to see or not see come October. And I don't want to fast forward. I don't, because I'm scared of what we're going to see in October. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's about Painter. So you think that Dombrowski's making the trip? For those of you that did not know this, I'll put it out again. Dave Dombrowski is currently on the road. He made the trip with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs to Charlotte. The Pigs are playing the Knights this week. The Knights are the AAA affiliate of the White Sox. Now, of course, the White Sox are a bad organization, right? Real bad. But they do have some very high draft picks, very highly projected young players stashed away in their minor league system, and some of them are in Charlotte at the AAA level, about to scratch their way up into Chicago. Why do you think Dave Dombrowski has made the trip with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs this week? This trip to visit that team this week? Is it about what Joe thinks and maybe Andrew Painter? An up close and personal look at Andrew Painter. Is it an up close personal look at Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, Otto Kemp, Gabriel Racones Jr.? Is that the look that is that what he's there for? Is it also to scout out potential trade opportunities with the Chicago White Sox? Are we looking for a new team to deal with? Are we looking to maybe pull the trigger on a Luis Robert trade? Is he still with the White Sox? I don't even know if he's still with the White Sox. But is that what he's there for? Again, Chicago's a team that's pretty much done. Their season's over. It's June 3rd. It's done. Now it's about, picking the carcasses of these teams to try to get you some help. Is this an opportunity for Dave Dombrowski to look at what the White Sox could potentially bring back in trade? So I'm interested to think what you think. Ricky Patalico said Nola refused a rehab start in AAA. Yeah. So again, I asked this question the other night, Barbara. What's going on there? Is there a phantom injury that the Phillies are lying about, and they just want to stash Nola away, and they want Nola to go through all the paces of rehab in order to make it look like he's actually hurt? And is Aaron Nola starting to get a little frustrated by that? Did they go to Aaron Nola and say, "Hey, man, your ankle hurts, right? And we're going to do what we have to do to make you better, right?" And Aaron was probably like, "Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, my ankle hurts. Wink, I get you." And now the Phillies are like, "Hey, in order to make your ankle better, we got to send you down to Lehigh so you can do a rehab start or two, or maybe even three." And now Aaron Nola's like, "Huh? What? What? I didn't agree to go to AAA. What's going on, man? What is going on with that? And why would you deny that? If you're having some problems, it's not like they're sending them down to AAA, but if you're having some issues, why would you not want to go down there and sort of, work them issues out, man? Shake free them cobwebs. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I hope McAble pitches good tomorrow. I do too. And matter of fact, when is Painter pitching again? So could this be a McAble, Andrew Painter week? Well, I mean, they are every week, but do we have an Andrew? Wait, what's Lehigh Valley? Let's look it up. Lehigh Valley, Iron Pigs. The Japanese pitcher pitched tonight and got lit up for the Pigs in the first inning. I watched the first inning of that game. Lehigh Valley went up to a 3-0 lead. Kemp drove in some runs in the top of the first. Then Charlotte came back and tied it at 3 in the bottom of the first. They really ripped into the pitcher of the Iron Pigs. It's now 10-6, by the way. Lehigh Valley's leading Charlotte in the 9th. But let's take a look at the schedule here. Let's I want to look at scoreboard. That's what I want to look at. See if Andrew Painter is pitching again. So, actually, the game is now over. The Pigs have won. The Pigs have defeated the Charlotte Knights. So, for those of you that care. So, tomorrow, going for Lehigh Valley, Andrew Painter. Wow. What do you do, folks? How do you do this? Andrew Painter is pitching tomorrow for the Charlotte Knights, for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. So, you got McAble. You got the future of the Philadelphia Phillies pitching rotation, both pitching at the same night. Andrew Painter pitching in Charlotte at 7:05. Was that 7:05? At 6:35, Andrew Painter will take them out against the Charlotte Knights tomorrow. And tomorrow night at 7, a little bit after 7, McAble will take them out for the Phillies. So get those MLB apps fired up, get the TV ready. And this is like I got a game at 7 o'clock tomorrow. I'm going to miss all this. That's great. I'm going to miss it all. I got a game at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So I'm going to get off the field about 8:30, 8:45, and it's all going to be over. I'm going to miss both Andrew Painter and McAble starts tomorrow. Dave Dombrowski always been a guy who mortgages the future in the farm. That's the thought that keeps me up at night, Ryan. 100%. He's been, I think he's been okay up to this point with that. hasn't really decided on. I mean, he's sort of gotten a little bit more aggressive with that last season when he started dealing away some assets from the farm system. But up to that point, he's been manageable. It's been okay. I haven't really worried about it. But now that everyone's a year older, this whole situation is a year older, people are getting a little bit more frustrated about the Phillies' lack of being able to break through. We're starting to call into question his choices of not only trades that have not worked out, but also free agent signings that apparently have not worked out. We're starting to call into those. We're starting to call into question that stuff. Is Dombrowski feeling the pressure and the heat to really deliver on a winner by reverting back to his old ways, by depleting the farm system in order to bring that winner for a year or two? And that keeps me up at night, Ryan. It keeps me up at night because I don't want to go back to that situation. And I hope to God that's not where we're headed. Ricky Deal says, Rob's got to get fired. Ricky, I agree. No, Abel is tomorrow. I know. I saw that. Again, I'm way behind on these. I thought he was pitching Thursday, but yes, he is pitching tomorrow. A lot of people will say, put him in the bullpen for half a season like the Rays did with David Price. That was back in 2008, right? 2008. That was a different time. And what do we... Okay, if Joe Madden was managing the Phillies, I'd say, okay, maybe we can try that. But once again, we're going to put Painter into a bullpen that is so goddamn screwy with the way it's run, and we're going to mess this kid up. We're going to the kid's going to get messed up trying to come out of our bullpen. I disagree, man. Ryan, there's no friggin' hurry of Andrew Painter coming here. There isn't. There's no hurry. If Mick Abel works out, if Mick Abel is the guy, you can go with the rotation, and I'm going without. As far as I'm done, as far as I'm concerned, Aaron Nola's done. I think he's done, and which is very bad for the Phillies. Not, of course, from a pitcher standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint. They just gave him the goddamn contract. But I have a feeling Aaron Nola is done this year. Now, not done as a Philly, because they're going to try to roll him back out next year by giving him a whole fresh outlook on life, spring training and camp and all that. But I think he's done in 2025. And I think the Phillies hope to God that Mick Abel or potentially Andrew Painter can be that missing link. So you're looking at Wheeler, Luzardo, Sanchez, Suarez, and then either Painter or Abel as your fifth. That's what I think the projection is of the starting rotation, realistically. Are they able to play the shell game with Aaron Nola all season? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't know if Aaron Nola, maybe they put Aaron Nola in the damn bullpen. I mean, why not? But I don't know what you do. But I have a feeling that Aaron Nola is done. And this is a bigger problem. This is a bigger problem than his ankle. McGable is tomorrow because of Wheeler. Yeah, Wheeler's, congratulations. Zach Wheeler is a father again. Is he a father again or a first-time father? McGable pitches tomorrow. Yes, he does. Yes. The offense early, then no offense the rest of the way. I said at the top of the program, Ryan, you get that big 7-run, 2-inning outburst, but it's the second inning. You're up 7-0, and with what the Blue Jays had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They had 8 more at-bats left to go in order to chip away at a 7-run lead. And then your offense falls asleep for 75% of the game, and they come back to life a little bit later on. They score a run. And then, you give up 3 runs along. It's a dangerous recipe, Ryan. It's not healthy. The Phillies don't play a healthy brand of baseball. They don't. And I'm not going down Homer land tonight by saying, well, win's a win. No, I'm not. Yes, we are at a point with this team, Ryan, when we are looking at the way they got to the win. Absolutely 100%. Because I think we've been burned way too many times. And I think this is one of the qualities that makes us great as a fan base. So we can see through the smoke and mirrors. Most of us. We all can. All of us can. Homers too. They see through it. They just don't want to admit the things, but they see it. We see through the smoke and the mirrors. We see through all that crap, and we get right down to how they won or what was the reasons of the one. I mean, we get inside the numbers. Probably there's more detailed than most fan bases out there. And that's what makes us a unique fan base. And yeah, you look at this win tonight on the paper and you're like 8-3, but then you're also looking at the fact that they scored 7 runs in the through first 2 innings, fell asleep, scored 1 run the rest of the way and won. That's a dangerous way to play. I'm sorry, it is. And yeah, it's a win. But a lot like in 2023 with the Eagles. Yeah, they were winning, but they were winning with like, let me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Yeah, that's what they were doing. And then that blew up and they collapsed down the stretch. It's not a healthy brand of baseball. This team does not play a healthy brand of baseball. I would have to say the Cubs series was probably the only time that I can sit back this year, at least, and say I was proud of my baseball team that weekend because of the way they played with the small ball, moving runners along, station to station baseball, all that great stuff, all those fundamentals of baseball. But not since that series, I can honestly sit here and say I'm proud of my baseball team because they're playing healthy baseball. No, they're not. They're playing very unhealthy baseball. And it's alarming. Facebook LOL does that. It does. And we use it here, Barbara. I see him as a leadoff. Who? Obviously, is he Stott? Are you a Stott guy, Star Wars? Stott is the definition of average, nothing more than 6'3" with no power. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. 6'3" and no power. And I think he belongs in the lower part of the lineup. Ricky, we're working our way to it, Ricky. I get there's a lot of stuff I got to get through. Hang on, man. Ricky, I don't want to lose you, man. Just chill out. If we don't do it tonight, we will do it, Ricky. It's going to be part of the show. I promise you that. If Stott does not lead off, I like if he batted 9. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I think that's where he needs to bat. That's where I believe he belongs in the lineup, batting 9th. Luis Reyes isn't a leadoff hitter despite going on via hits. He's a perfect number 2 hole. Okay. If Turner leads off all the time, who would be your number 2 hitter? Would it be Bohm or Castellanos or Realmuto? And I don't want to see Harper. No, I don't want to see Harper bat second either. And this is the problem with the Phillies lineup. It's not properly built. But yes, I think Alec Bohm is your prototypical number 2 in this lineup. Now, I'm not happy about it because I honestly want Bohm out of here. You know what would look nice batting number 2? Otto Kemp. Let's put Otto Kemp batting second in the lineup. How's that sound? Number 4, Otto Kemp. That's who I want to see batting second, at least for about a week or two. No, but right now as it stands, yes, Bohm would be my number 2 because he's got power and he also can bat. He's a doubles guy, so he's a guy that puts the ball into play when he's on, when he's actually hitting. He puts the ball in play pretty consistently. So yes, I would put Bohm at number 2. But it's not. That's not long term either because I don't think Bohm is long term. We got to find a long term number. The Phillies got to look at this thing heading into the future of 2026. They got to look at more of we need to bring in a leadoff hitter. We need to bring in a number 2 hitter. We need to bring in a number 5 and number 6. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the way this lineup is currently, they got the 3, they got the 4. Well, they might lose the 4 in the offseason, but they currently have the 3 and the 4. I don't see a 5. I see a 6 in Kepler. Maybe Castellanos I see as a 7. I can see him as a 7. Right? 8. I don't know. And then you got Stott at 9. And you got Turner leading off. Everything else is sort of like bejumbled. I don't really see a true number 2. I don't see a true 5. I don't know if I even see a 6. You know what I mean? I see a lot of the same player. We got to find a way to balance the lineup out. And that might be all it takes is a little bit of a balancing job, when you get your tires done because they're, they make noise when you drive and the alignment and all that. Maybe that's all the Phillies need is a balance and an alignment to that lineup, and it would all work off. Turner is okay with not leading off. I don't care if he's okay with it. I'm not. That's the problem. I'm not. There's very few decent teams in MLB history. Most of these games are hard to watch. Oh, Barbara, there's still baseball games. Come on. Listen, Barbara, you're you're telling a guy that MLB games are hard to watch. You're telling somebody that sits on YouTube and watches games from 1980. The definition of boring baseball, in the pitchers era, in the cookie cutter stadiums like Riverfront and the Vet and, Three Rivers, places like that, where, home runs happen, but they didn't happen that often. Not very, heady offensive games, a lot of pitching, a lot of defense. And I'll sit here for hours staring at a game from like 1976. Why? I don't know. because I was 3 years old then, and I have no recollection of that game. But I'll sit there and watch it. Oh yeah. Phillies need a starting catcher. Yeah, we need a starting catcher too. And where would he bat? I don't even JT. And that's again another problem. We have a hole there. We have a hole there defensively and offensively. Dombrowski is going to use Crawford Okra trade. You think so? Really, man? That would send shockwaves through this organization. Would that make Phillies Nation revolt? I think it might. Tomorrow Painter is pitching. Yes, man, I'm way behind on these. Not Crawford. Trade of minor leaguers not Crawford. Trade a trade of minor leaguers or two. Us why Dombrowski is on the road with the Phillies AAA. What? So he's not looking to trade Crawford. He's looking to trade other players. Is that what he's scouting other players to make trades with? I think you might be right. I think it may be a combination of everything. I think he's there to look at Painter. I think he's also there to look at the others. I think that maybe he's starting to feel the heat from Otto Kemp specifically. All the talk about Otto Kemp, and he's probably watching the Down on the Farm segment here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network that we do on the Fight and Final every Sunday. He's like, you know what? MattyB seems to be pretty high on this Otto Kemp guy. Let me go take a look at him myself. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is. It's probably everything that I said and probably even more. But I definitely think this could be the first domino to fall in potential wholesale changes that might be coming. So stand by. Too bad Nola has no trade value. Now with that damn contract, he doesn't. No, not at all. Phillies are on the hook. Painter's pitching tomorrow. Yes, God, we're good. Well, years ago, Cesar Hernandez played the second half of the season with the Phillies with the stress fracture in his foot, and the Phillies never let it get out. That's a good point. But I mean, I think honestly, if you're equating to Nola's problem to this, I think the Phillies would have said something about the ankle, right? Because it would have put a lot of people's, fears kind of in check that there was something wrong with his arm because of the velocity dropping 5 miles, or 3 miles his fastball's lost over the last season. So I don't think the Phillies would have skated around addressing an ankle injury for Aaron Nola if that was true. You know what I mean? I don't think they would be being mischievous when trying to protect Aaron Nola, because I think people would be like, oh, it's not his arm. Maybe it's something, it's his ankle. Who cares? So maybe that's why he doesn't. That's why he's lost velocity. He's lost 3 miles off his fastball because he hurt his ankle. But whatever. But I don't know if that's what you're equating that to, Michael. So we'll see. Jesus Christ, there you go. Can the phone lines be open tomorrow instead so we can talk about? You know what? That's not a bad idea, Joe. Listen, the phone lines will be open on this program. I know I'm starting to sound like a car salesman right now. I'm starting to sound like I got to do it. He hasn't said anything to me in like 3 days. I haven't said anything to him. So I'm going to send an olive branch his way. I'm starting to sound like this guy here, Big Al. That's right. Big Al, the proprietor of Big Al's Excuse Emporium, where serving your Philadelphia reality sports needs since the summer of 2024. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary, by the way, folks. That's right. June 9th, Big Al's Excuse Emporium will be 1 year old, because on June 9th, 2024, Al Zafiri uttered the immortal words that the Philadelphia Phillies were struggling in Boston, struggling coming out of Boston, heading into Baltimore because they've been on the road for 10 days and they missed their moms. And then they went to London with the time change and all that. So on June 9th, 2024, Big Al's Excuse Emporium opened its doors. And since then, we've been serving the Delaware Valley with all your reality deprived needs for your Philadelphia sports teams. And we want to thank you, the community of Delaware County, Montgomery County, Bucks County, and of course, yes, Philadelphia County, for your support through the first year of Big Al's Excuse Emporium. And in honor of that support, we're offering you this one-time special, 50% off all Philadelphia 76er excuse merchandise on the showroom floor as we're making room for the 2025-2026 inventory. So head on down to Big Al's Excuse Emporium today. Don't forget, bring the kids and mention MattyB at the door, and you'll get an additional 30% off of all your purchases. That's right. Big Al's Excuse Emporium, 1 year anniversary, blowout, June 9th, 2025, at all participating Big Al's Excuse Emporium. Sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it. It's too good. I stare at that graphic all night long. I just can't stay away. It's like the shiny red button that they tell you not to press. I got to press it. Can you post a link tonight? If I post a link tonight and I don't open the line, you're going to sit backstage. I won't bring you on. I got to post it tomorrow for the show. So, Ricky, we're going to do it tomorrow because we'll have a lot to talk about with Nick Abel, and we'll have a lot to talk about with Andrew Painter. And then we'll go forward and part the Red Sea, Ricky, every night, and we'll do a segment for the phone lines. I promise you, I will not let you down. You just got to be a little bit patient with old MattyB. I'm burning the candle here about 19 different ends, and we're almost an hour into this show. I'd love to stay on all night long, actually, but I can't. We will do it tomorrow, and going forward, it will be a daily part of the show. I promise you that. Starting pitchers should start not go to the bullpen, especially for young guys. I agree. I don't want to see Andrew Painter in the bullpen. I want to put Painter in the pen. Just saying, a lot of people have said to. No, I disagree. I won't. What? I want to put Painter in the bullpen. Just saying, a lot of people have said to. No, I disagree. Are you saying you don't want to do it either? I don't want to do it. I like Abel and Painter. Now, again, I think the best case scenario with the Painter situation or with the Abel situation is something that we weren't counting on. I don't think a lot of people had Mick Abel on their bingo card in 2025. I know I did. And if you watch me back in EOP, and then when we came over here back in October, when we started this network, every time that, last year when we did the Down the Farm, I wasn't on Mick Abel. Good God, I wasn't. I wanted Mick Abel out of here faster than Howie Roseman, honestly. But as I was doing the Down the Farm segment last year, and as we were moving through the season, and I was compiling this data week after week, Mick Abel's name started popping up everywhere. The strikeouts, the innings pitched, the hits, everything that he was doing to counteract all the problems that he was having with the velocity and the control. The innings or the runs were still kind of up, maybe ERA a little bit north of 4. But what was really starting to grow or kind of meet that was his innings pitched and his strikeouts. They were off the chain with as many innings as he was eating, plus as many strikeouts as he was getting. So there was some progress being made, and then the run started to come down as well. So it all began to kind of click. Now he's spent time with myriads of pitching coaches throughout the Phillies system, but there's probably one that's kind of broken through. And if it's the Pigs pitching coach that's did it, then he needs to come up here and be the assistant pitching coach of the Phillies, or to be the pitching coach of the Phillies. If it's a conglomeration of a few of the pitching coaches that he's encountered over the 6 years in the Phillies minor league system, then we need to bring these guys along too, because somebody broke through to him. Somebody unlocked him and got him to this position. Now he's got a lot of ways to go, but they got him here. And 2 years ago, nobody thought he was going to be here. 2 years ago, majority of us thought he'd be out of baseball today. But somebody unlocked him. Somebody broke through to him. The Phillies minor league player development system is actually working. And Mick Abel is the poster child of that. And if he does catch on and he does stick, and I hope if he goes out and he throws 8 innings, strikes out 9, gives up a run, whatever the case may be, and then I hope he gets at least one more start. And then the Phillies are probably going to have to make a decision about him after that one start. But if he continues to pitch dominant, how can they send him back down? How can they do that? They're going to have to make a room for him. They're going to have to expand the roster to 6, or the rotation to 6. They're going to have to do something to keep Mick Abel in this rotation, if it works. It's a great problem to have. It truly is. But the Phillies player developmental system is working, folks. Took some time, but it's working. We talked about it. But we need bullpen. I think it would make a good bullpen arm when Painter comes up. Okay, once again, we're putting on expectations on Andrew Painter. The guy hasn't pitched in 2 years. Guy's never pitched in Major League Baseball. He's pitching in AAA for the first time. We're putting a lot of expectations on a guy that's 21 years old with a surgically repaired right arm and saying, you know what, kid, you fooled us once and we let you sit around for 2 years in rehab, but we're done. You get up here and start earning your keep. I disagree with that philosophy. Star Wars, the starting pitching and even the bullpen right now to me is not great, and it's not. But if we could fix the offense, if we could fix our offense, the starting pitching in our offense should carry us to most of our victories. And the bullpen would have to be used in the latter part of it, the power arms, which we need to find one more. But I disagree. I agree with your assessment that the bullpen is messed up, but I don't think it trumps the offense. I think the offense is the number one problem with this team. I think bullpen is like down here number 2, and then starting rotation is not even on the list. I'm not saying ignore the problem in the bullpen, but you could find serviceable arms floating around out there in current Major League Baseball to help out this bullpen. I don't need to be messing up the rods and the cones of Andrew Painter as he's coming back from Tommy John surgery in the bullpen. And the same thing with Mick Abel, who's finally figured out how to be a starting pitcher. I don't need to derail all that and put his ass in the bullpen. Let the cards fly with Abel. Give Abel every opportunity this year to stick with the Phillies. Let Painter friggin' develop. Let Painter pitch in the minor leagues. He's not going anywhere, right? We're going to need him. He'll be here sooner or later. I fully expect him to be part of the rotation at some point. Why does it have to be in 2025? Right? Especially if Mick Abel hits. Why are we so hot on Andrew Painter being part of this rotation this year when we don't necessarily have to have him here? Look at the Saturday game, 17-1. Thompson said he was proud, by the way. They scored a bunch in. Yeah, I know. I can't wait to talk on the phone with you, Matty. We argue so much in the same things about this Phillies hitters and offense. Yeah, Ryan, and here's how it's going to be. It's obviously not the phone, right? I don't have a phone converter, but what I'm going to do is, and this will be part of the Fighting's final not the Fighting's final, but the final word. So for all you that are tuned in right now, and for those of you, and I know I got some enemies out there that are watching because you guys just can't stay away from me, and that's fine. I need you too. But for everyone else that's watching and everyone else that has people that would like to watch, I need you to pass on this word. Starting tomorrow, and this is I've been teasing this. We did it once last week. It worked great. But starting tomorrow, we will add a new segment to the show. The phone lines are open. I'll create a graphic for it, whatever. We'll put it up, whatever. We'll do something. We'll do it. But what it's going to be is I'm going to put the StreamYard link to this show into the general chat. And you can link in through StreamYard. I'll put you backstage. I'll bring you on for like a 2-minute or 3-minute phone call, AK or a la friggin' 94 WIP. And we'll rotate through that like that, right? Any conversation you want to have is up there. Anything you want to talk about that we're talking currently, or you want to bring up something new, whatever you want to talk about is there. I require you to have a microphone. You have to have a microphone. You don't need your camera. If you want it, turn your camera off, turn your camera off. You want to turn your camera on, turn your camera on. But you need to have a microphone in order to communicate with me. So starting tomorrow, Ricky and everybody else, the final word will go with the phone line segment. And what we'll do is I'll open it. And I'll, again, sort of kind of how they do it on WIP. We'll talk about something, and then let's go to the phones, that kind of thing. So some people might sit backstage for a while. You might get frustrated and leave, whatever. But it's going to be part of the show throughout the show. And that'll start tomorrow. I've been promising it for the last 3 nights. It's been rough, man. I haven't been sleeping much, and I've been out in the sun all day. So, just bear with me. I want to do this right. I don't want to half-ass it, so we'll do it tomorrow. Harper's a good number. He's an outstanding number 3. JT needs to retire. Yes, and we can call up Logan O'Hoppy to take his spot on the team. Matty, I do watch old games on YouTube. I love those. Every run was important because the pitching was better. Pitching was better, and so was the fundamentals, Barbara. How many times? I mean, and again, it also is nostalgic about my childhood. We all miss. I miss being young. Youth is wasted on the young, and it's gone before you know it, and you're left with this. But it reminds me of simpler days. I mean, I remember not a small, maybe like 13, 14, like a teenager. Like I was really into girls. I ain't gonna lie. I was overly into girls, very young, but I was also into sports. And like Saturday mornings, of course, traditional Saturday mornings for an 80s kid, we all know what those were. It was cartoons, right? But there was something else in the summertime, because in the summertime, it wasn't new cartoons. It was reruns from the previous season. But it was all about getting to that like 11:30 in the morning time frame on Saturdays, because that's when the baseball bunch would come on Channel 3, when Channel 3 was NBC, right? That's when the baseball bunch would come on. Then at 12, Mel Allen and This Week in Baseball would come on every Saturday, right? Then at 12:30, NBC's Game of the Week pregame show would start. And then at 1 o'clock, you would have the opportunity as a kid living in Philadelphia to watch the Seattle Mariners play the Toronto Blue Jays, because we don't have that opportunity in the 80s to do every day, because we don't have the internet. We don't have cable, but we have NBC. And then if you were really lucky, it was a doubleheader. Later in the day, you had the Angels versus the A's or something like that. And then on those really, really rare occurrences, you had a triple header. But that was Saturday in the summer. Then on Sunday, there was a show the Phillies ran on Sundays, because you remember back in the day, every Sunday game was televised, regardless if it was home or away. And that was the only time you could really watch home games on TV, because Prism had the rights to it, to the other home games. It wasn't like it is now. For those kids, the kids just don't know, man. The only time you could watch the Phillies on TV, free TV, Channel 17, 48, 29, 57, whatever it was, they kept bouncing around, was when they were on the road. When they played at home, radio, that's all you had. And then when cable came around in the mid-'80s, you could get Prism and watch the home games. But every Sunday, regardless where they were, home or away, the game would be televised. So that was the only time during the week I would be able to watch a home Phillies game. And I live in Philadelphia. It's not like it is today, right? Blackout restrictions and all that other stuff. So watching these old games on YouTube, and this is a real long way to get around that answer. So I'm sorry, Barbara, that took me so long. But watching old games on YouTube brings me back to those days. And I don't know, it's nostalgic. I don't know, maybe I'm pining to be 13 again. I don't know, man. How about signing Schwarber and Alonso and move Harper back to right field with Racone in left, Racones, by the way, in left, and Crawford in center, and trade Castellanos? If the Phillies could maneuver, how much money are we talking about here? Re-signing Kyle Schwarber, which is probably an impossibility, and then going after Pete Alonso, who's going to want a mega deal with a lot of years to be done, and then putting Harper back in right field and Gabriel Racones in left would be great. I don't know if we could afford all that. I'd be 100% in on this, but to make all that happen in one offseason, Dave Dombrowski would be the king of player personnel if you could make that happen. I don't know if Schwarber's going to resign here. I have a feeling he's not. I have a feeling he's going to take his ball and go home. And what I mean by that is I'm thinking Chicago. I think he's going to resign with the Cubs next year and try to bring them back to another World Series. I have a feeling about that. Pete Alonso remains an option, and moving Harper back to right, I don't think is an option. I think Harper will be the new DH once Schwarber leaves. So you might get 3/4 of this, which is not a bad start. I don't mind starting the season with Gabriel Racones Jr. in left, Justin Crawford in center, and I guess you would have to put re-sign Kepler and put him in right. I don't know. We have to find a right fielder, but I'm okay with 3/4 of this. But the other part is I think Schwarber's boat has left the station. Nola's not injured. They removed him. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Here could be next year's lineup: Turner, Crawford, Harper, Alonso, Schwarber, Bohm, Racones, Real Muto, and Stott. Yeah. Don't forget, Real Muto is a free agent next year. I don't know if they just re-sign him. Oh my God, yeah, phone calls now. Like, yes, I am. I'm again, not phone calls, Barbara. We're going to do StreamYard. We're going to do live interaction with you guys. So I kind of just explained it. I know I'm way behind on these damn things, but yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do it like 97.5. We're going to do it like WIP. We're going to do it like that. I am going to become truly the new Howard Eskin. The transformation is complete when we start this segment. That's right. The first anniversary of the grand opening of the Emporium. Yep. Next June 9th, folks. It's when the Emporium opened its doors. How'd you feel about the Huff trade now that it's official since he passed his physical today? Trade for Trayvon Walker from Jacksonville, Trey Hendricks from Cincinnati, or someone else. Why don't we go after Santa Claus? Why don't we do that, Steve Fuentes? Because the Bryce Huff trade, just like the Carson Wentz thing, just like Jesus Christ, Jalen Reagor, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Let's go down the list. Sam Bradford. I don't blame him for that, but I guess that may be it, right? Listen, he screwed up. He brought in a player that had one good year, and we broke the bank for him. Gee, when's that happened before? And he screwed up, and all this "Howie is a genius" nonsense is really sickening, because all he did was he was able to fix a problem, but he fixed the problem by passing money down the street, right? By kicking the can down the road. Now that can came the rest this year, right? And no one's talking about that, right? Why do you think we had to get rid of everybody? Why do you think the Eagles had to get rid of 6 of major contributors of their defense? Because they couldn't afford to pay them, based on Howie's the Howie kicking the can down the road philosophy. And I think it's going to cost the Eagles. I really do. And it just happens to be it's coming off a Super Bowl, which he wasn't anticipating. But he got rid of Huff, but he still was responsible for some of that money. He's going to kick some of that money down the road. He's going to have some cap room this year to go out and sign somebody to replace him, which this list of players, I mean, why don't we just, why don't we ask for it all? Why can't Christian McCaffrey come here? I mean, we're going to go after Trayvon Walker. We're going to go after Trey Hendrickson. I think, Watt from Pittsburgh might be a better fit, but you're going to break the bank on these guys. First of all, you got to trade for you got to trade for all three. You got to trade for anybody. You got to trade for these people, right? And they're going to want salary cap relief as well. Can Howie do that and also give up assets? Because we got like 14 draft picks next year. I mean, that's a lot, and I'm sure he's going to move a majority of those. I mean, he did well to get rid of the problem. He did, but he also created the problem in the first place. So let's not like pat him on the back quite yet, because we still don't have an edge rusher, and our defense still is a level. Let's be real. They're a level below what they were last year. So I don't get the open. I don't get the pass that he gets. I don't get the pass. You got the Super Bowl, but there is no repeat coming, right? Do we all agree to that? There's no repeat happening. There's no way in God's green earth the Eagles are winning the Super Bowl this year. I mean, based on what we've seen and what they've done or what they haven't done, and all the question marks and concerns and all the empty promises and hype that everyone's building themselves up like they do every year. We have no edge rusher. We have a whole new back end of the defense that's not even complete yet. We're down to like 2 linebackers. Our front 4 is different, maybe not as good. We're going to be relying on a lot of draft picks that have not produced up to this point to all automatically step up and become everyday rotational guys. We're going to rely on draft picks that have never played at all in the NFL to be immediate contributors. We're also going to hope that Nakobe Dean can put aside his injury problems and actually play in 2025. Jihad Campbell, who's coming back from a shoulder problem, that he can actually play in 2025. Who else am I missing? The constant or the further maturation of Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter's dominance, Keely Ringo breaking into the starting rotation that he hasn't done in 3 years. I mean, we're relying on a lot here. We're rolling the dice. Oh, and not to mention the added pressure and responsibility that are going to be on top of Zach Baun now that he's no longer in the shadows, but now he's going to be actually schemed against by offense. Offenses are actually going to look at where Zach Baun is on the field and dial up offenses to neutralize him. Can he overcome that? Same thing with the two youngsters in the secondary. They're no longer going to be able to hide behind CJ, DJ, GJ, or Darius Slay. Now they're out in the front. Can they handle that pressure? I'm not saying they can't, but it's not a slam dunk that they can either. We're not talking about any of that. We're just automatically assuming everything's going to be seamless and the transition's just going to keep rolling. We're not looking at this thing realistically, which is not really shocking news, but we're not. So did he do a good thing by getting rid of Bryce Huff? And again, a long way to answer this question, Steve. Yes, he did. But who the hell's the next edge rusher? And if he can bring in one of these guys, that'd be great. You know it's not going to be one of these guys. I would like Watt from the Steelers. Other than that, I don't know, man. I mean, what the post June 1st? It's post June 1st, right? So what's going on with that? I don't know. It's good that he got rid of it, but what's the next step? I guess the hotline is going to be off the rails during NFL season. Yes, it is. Well, I gotta name it. So what this is going to be, Steve? Again, this will be a constant running thing throughout a show. So we'll go on the air, we'll do our little intro thing, we'll come in, and then I'll throw out a few topics and then throw up the link. And then all throughout the show, people will just stack up. Hopefully people just stack up. Hopefully I get like a ton of people that are waiting to come on. And then we'll roll it like WIP does. And then we'll stop at times and do other segments. And then we'll bring the phone calls back in. Think of WIP. And that's what we're going to do, or I'm going to try to do, using StreamYard as my phone line. So that's what we're going to do. Kevin Long suck. He does. Otto Kemp has 14 homers. Yeah, big night tonight too. If Realmuto isn't next year's lineup, if I only put Realmuto in next year's lineup as I have no clue what the catchers are available, and I think Bohm is here next season. Bohm will be here next season. They're not trading Bohm because no one's going to take him. They're not. And they're going to keep Bohm through 2026 because that's his last year. And then he hits free agency, and then they're going to let him go. Realmuto, you're right. The only thing that might get JT back here, and there's a chance he comes back. I think JT also knows his skills are depleting. And I don't think anyone's going to offer JT Realmuto a contract. So he's probably going to take a hometown discount, stay here, so he has a job next year. And the Phillies are in a position to have to bring him back because there's nothing in the cupboards. And the Phillies don't want to commit to any other catcher long term. And I haven't really looked at the catchers for next year either. But they're not going to want to commit to a long-term solution at catcher from a free agent because of Tayit, the young kid that's coming up through the system right now. So if they can bring JT back on a 2 or 3 year deal and just deal with his bullcrap in terms of his offensive nonsense, they'll probably do it because there's just no other options right now that suit the Phillies timeline. You know what I mean? And that's a bad place to be. The Star Wars, if we need bullpen guy, bring up one or trade one that don't stick starting pitchers in the bullpen. I agree, Barbara. I'm not unless you're John Smoltz in the back end of your career. That's about the only time I do it. The bullpen can't hold the lead. No, they can't. Your name seems like you'd be a quarterback. Really? Quarterback? I don't see Abel or Painter in the bullpen. I mean, Washington did that with Strasburg early in his career, and it didn't work out until he became a starter. Yeah, I agree. I hope you still do that. I will. We'll be doing all that. We're matter of fact, we're gonna. Oh, God damn, hour 20. You guys are great tonight. Can you just can't just be through your phone? Need a microphone? No. You however you communicate. Like if you're on your smartphone, and you can link in through StreamYard. Yeah, I can talk to you through that way. Yeah, I need a way to speak to you. StreamYard works through your cell phone. Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. You don't need to attach. Just speak through the microphone on your phone. Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be like that. Yep. Yeah, we're going to use StreamYard. You'll see. You'll see how it works. Link will pop up. You click on the link will throw you right in the backstage here, and then I'll pull you on. It's going to be fun. You guys are all going to learn the you're going to learn the ins and outs of StreamYard. Ryan Swoop just through your phone. Yeah. You're going to learn the ins and outs through StreamYard. Twib notes, remember that. Yeah. I love This Week in Baseball. I have that song. What the hell's the name of it? I forget the name of it, but the ending song, the that song, that's on my phone. It's one of in my music library. Something Casting Shadows or something like that. It's on my phone. That's the kind of person I'm dealing with. That's the kind of person you're dealing with. The Eagles traded Bradford to Minnesota, the first and a fourth round pick. Yeah, I know, but I'm not giving Howie credit for that. That was in 2016. 2016. Actually, I am going to give Howie credit for that. Yeah, that was a good move. That was a good fix. He didn't bring him here. I don't give Howie credit for bringing him here, or I don't hold him accountable for that. I hold, how we got rid of him. 100%. All right, let's transition out of this a little bit. Let's get into the of the night segment because we're running way late. But let's get into the of the night. Here we go. Yes, sir. And Bobby Didi. We're here at the other night segment. We've already gone through the MLB draft. We already gone through the NHL draft. But when I was preparing the segment tonight, I realized that I got about 7 or 8 players still to talk about for the NHL draft. And we're like 3 weeks away from the draft. So I got to beat feet and get through the NHL draft prospects because we're running out of time. Because before I know it, I'll be having to put NHL logos next to these kids' names because we've waited too long. And now they belong to a team. So we're going back into the NHL draft tonight with our latest draft prospect, Luka Radivikovic. So I hope he doesn't end up here. He is a 5'10", 161-pound right-handed defenseman. Listen, before you jump all over me for 161-pound and 5'10", he has that unique attribute as a defenseman because he's a righty. That's right. You can never have enough of these guys. Right-handed defenseman. We only have one really good one on our team right now, and then verdict's out on how good Jamie Drysdale really is, but 5'10" is a little concerning, yes, and 161 pounds is very concerning. Has he not gone through puberty yet? For God's sakes, Jesus Christ, dude! 17 years old and he's 161 pounds. I think I was about 204 when I was 17. At about 6'3", though, that's a little different. Radivikovic is a tricky one because for a smaller defenseman, he doesn't actually have the explosive natural forward or backward skating you'd hope for, not unlike Aaron Kivharchuk, who ended up being a 4th round pick. He does have excellent edges and adjustability, though, which helps him handle and hold onto pucks long enough so that he can use his game smarts to execute and make plays. He absorbs pressure well, and with plenty of poise and calm, he's a flat, hard outlet passer who puts the puck tape to tape to advance play. He walks the line really well and has his head is always up. So there's some pluses here about this kid. Obviously, there's a bunch of red flags when it comes to his skating, but there seems to be a bunch of green flags when it comes to his offensive sense of hockey. A lot of situations, though, again, we've talked about the 5'10", 161 pounds. This is a project guy from all over the place. It could be years/decades before he smells the NHL. The Flyers are in a position, though, with luxury with all these draft picks. If they happen to have an opportunity, and I don't see his stock has gone up. He probably projected out back in September, October as a 4th rounder, but he had a really good season. So his stock has kind of risen to that. Maybe, I know I'm projecting him here as a 1st round talent. I think he he kind of might be, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if he fell into the third round, but I also wouldn't be surprised, a la Jetlachenko, that he rises up to about mid-second round. So I don't see first round here at all. He's just too much of a project at 5'10 and 161 pounds, but he is a right-hand defenseman, and they are a unicorn. A good right-hand defenseman are unicorns at this level, and every team needs them. So that alone keeps his draft stock high. But in reality, mid-second, lower second, high third is probably where he projects. And yes, the Flyers have some luxury there because they have a bunch of picks. So tonight's NHL draft prospect, Luka Radovic-Ojekovic. For a hockey guy, I sure as hell struggle with those names, man. I really do. But there you go. There you go. Oh, geez, where are we at here? Let's go back to this. God damn, guys. Twib notes, Eagles drafted Bradford. Eagles have like 400 million in void years, and there's some teams that have zero. One day, Howie will have to pay the piper. I agree, Barbara, and I think he's already started to pay the piper this year. There's no other rational reasoning around letting Slay go, letting CJ go, not being in on trying to keep Milton Williams here, and all the other moves that he's made, or Josh Sweat. There's no other way. Everyone wants to sit here and you know, it's a shame. I used to love the Eagles so much until Howie Roseman showed up. I really did. And I used to love the Eagles so much until Nick Sirianni showed up. I honestly did. I hate the current version of this team. I hate the culture. I'm not bought into any of this. It's a big scam. It's a big pyramid scam. I think I would love Jeff Lurie to sell the team. I honestly would. I'd love to be able to start the hell over with the Eagles. They get lucky. That's all they're getting. They're getting lucky, and it's a slap in the Eagle fans' face the way Howie Roseman has handled this offseason. And no one's going to talk about this King Howie and all this nonsense, but it's a slap in the face the way he's handled this offseason. The Eagles have an opportunity here to be a dynasty. They really do, because we are still living in the Chiefs dynasty. That's right, folks. You do know that, right? The Kansas City Chiefs are still a dynasty team right now. Even though they lost to the Eagles, they're still a dynasty team. Now, if the Eagles go ahead and beat the Chiefs or win the Super Bowl again this year, yeah, we definitely make a case that we are now in the dawn of the Eagles dynasty, which would be one of my bucket list things to say. That ain't happening. It's not going to happen because of the way your GM has handled the offseason. He has kicked the can. He's had to kick the can down the road, or I should say the can has stopped rolling down the road in 2025. And now he had to make some hard decisions about saving money. And that is why the players that were let go were let go. That is the only reason that you cut, or I shouldn't say cut, that you move on from 6 major contributors to a Super Bowl champion. Not because they want to get younger or they want to go a different route or they're so secure in Vic Fangio's system. And no, that's all goddamn smoke and mirrors. That's what homers want you to believe. That's what they might actually even believe. But it's not. It's because Howie has lost the ability to kick the can down the road any longer or any more until he makes some cost-cutting moves. And those were the cost-cutting moves that he made. By bringing in lesser-named free agents and praying to God that the draft picks hit. Some would say that's the way of the future of the NFL. Some would say that, but as Barbara points out, that's not quite the truth, right? So the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, and I will not put asunder that, and I will not doubt that, and I will not degrade that. But they have a unique opportunity to finally bring to this city what this city's deserved all along, and that's a dynasty. And that ain't happening because of what this GM has done. And I think Howie Roseman sits in his office and really just says, you people are a bunch of idiots. I got you all fooled. And it's a shame, man. It really is. It makes me cry. It makes me weep. Eagles offense is still going to be good. Okay. So Star Wars, what hour and a half? That's all right. We'll keep going. Let's get to the Eagles. Star Wars. Okay. The offense. What is so good about the offense? Tell me. I'll throw out some things. I'm asking you to tell me, and we're not doing the phone lines yet. Saquon Barkley. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, congratulations, Saquon Barkley, cover of Madden 26, right? Now he's got the Madden curse to deal with. But Saquon Barkley was a great story about the offense. Star Wars, in your intelligent mind, do you feel that Saquon Barkley is going to just pick up where he left off in 2024? That he's just going to give me the rock, first quarter, first play against Dallas, and I'm on my way to another 2,500-yard season. Now, could he be? Absolutely. Could he make could he get the first handoff, make a left-hand cut, and his knee go right, and that's it? Absolutely. Could he also be a little bit beat up from last season and all the overuse that they did, and now he's not quite the same guy? Yeah, absolutely. Could he rush for 1,300 yards and be more of the Saquon Barkley which 1,300 yards is not nothing to shake a stick at. But I think the anomaly of last season will be more of the reality of next season with the between 1,000 and 1,300 yards. And to me, that's a dramatic cutoff. That's a dramatic hit to this offense that's going to be so good. What else about the offense is good? Offensive line. Okay, so that's another good point. But if Saquon can't get through the offensive line, is Will Shipley and A.J. Dillon going to follow him up? Is Will Shipley rushing for 2,000 yards this season? Is A.J. Dillon going to rush for 2,000 yards? Probably not. So what's the running attack? It's Saquon Barkley or bust. There's nothing behind him. Mistake. Cam Scatterboo was out there in the draft. Giants picked him up. So we'll be able to watch, and I'm a Scatterboo kind of guy. I'll be able to watch his progression through the NFL firsthand, twice a season. So what else is about the offense? Let's talk about the wide receivers. Outstanding points, Star Wars. One-trick ponies, the both of them. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. YOLO, 50-50 balls. I'll give you that. They're very good at those things. They provide you that. They provide you that elite level down the field targeting. I get it. That's there. That is off the chain, 100%. No argument here. Now let's talk about your quarterback. Your quarterback. Is your quarterback who has not done it yet in his career able to pick this team up and carry them? I could spend the next 17 hours talking about Jalen Hurts and his game managing abilities and his non-eliteness. I can do that. I don't want to. Not tonight. I'm too tired. Jalen Hurts does not throw the ball to the middle of the field because they don't let him, because they don't trust him. They don't trust him not to turn the football over. Before they converted their offense to a run-heavy offense in week 5 of the 2024 NFL season, or week 6, whenever they came back off the bye, Jalen Hurts had committed 26 turnovers in the last 31 games. What is that? His turnovers went completely off, or completely away, not away, but fell down dramatically after week 6 because they weren't allowing him to be the focal point of the offense. Okay. He only threw the football to the middle of the field 48 times in 361 passing attempts. Why? Was it because of the injury of Dallas Goedert? Probably not. Or was it because Jalen Hurts cannot throw the ball into those tight windows? Jalen Hurts cannot read a defense fast enough to thread a needle through the middle of the field, the most dangerous part of the football field. Jalen Hurts cannot go through his progressions fast enough in order to pick open the open receiver breaking to the middle of the field. So what is so good about the offense if Saquon Barkley does not rush for 2,500 yards? Now, this could all be mute, and Saquon Barkley busts out 3,000 yards, sets all kinds of new modern-day records. Probably won't do that. It's probably going to rush somewhere around 1,300 yards. What's so good about the Philadelphia Eagle offense? Because if you take Saquon away from it, if you take his I believe I did the stat last year. I don't have it handy. I could break it. I'll break it out that football season because I will. I believe Saquon Barkley accounted for 36% of the Philadelphia Eagle offensive attack. And I also believe that his touchdowns, collective, both receiving and rushing, accounted for about 76% of the Eagles' offensive attack. What's so good about the Eagles' offense there, Star Wars? If, of course, Saquon Barkley is not part of it, or he's not the same. So I disagree. Cooper DeJean. Quinyon Mitchell. What are we doing here? We're going to name defensive backs. Last 4 or 5 years, all the heat and is Josh Allen, and all I hear is Josh Allen and the Bills win the Super Bowl after winning at least 12 games a year, and Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, will win a Super Bowl 2 times. Now Derrick Henry, and neither has Super Bowl, and I agree. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from what the Eagles did last year, not, but the play of your running back Saquon Barkley and the play of your defense was your number 1 and number 2 contributors. Buffalo and Baltimore have not had defenses that played that way. No one has. The Eagles got really lucky last year with their defense. And yes, I'm going to say it was luck. Maybe some Vic Fangio and some player ability, but majority of it was luck that they were that good defensively. And Saquon, of course, which was what he was. I agree. Listen, I'm not putting asunder what the Eagles did. They were amazing. But what they've done this offseason is not making me jump for joy that it's going to be a dynasty. It's not. Again, I don't know what I'm not seeing that you guys are. Cooper DeJean is a CB1 who locked down your number 1. Okay. So now, again, I'm not saying that he can't, but in 2024, you had the luxury. First of all, he's not a CB1. He's a slot guy. They're not going to move him Quinyon Mitchell is your CB1. Cooper DeJean is more effective in the slot. Now, if they take him out of the slot because they don't have personnel and put him as CB2, how does he do that? Because he hasn't done that yet here in this town. So he's not a CB1. He's a slot guy. And he's not going to go up against the number 1s. Quinyon Mitchell will. And I'm not saying these two individuals are bad football players. You're misunderstanding this. What I am saying is that they're second-year guys who are now in the spotlight, who are now going to be looked at specifically when offenses design their game plan against the Philadelphia Eagles. And are they able to rise above that? That's all I'm saying. They could. Maybe they can't. They're second-year players, both of them. I hope they do. I got both their rookie cards. It'd be very financially lucrative for me if they did. But it's not a slam dunk. Everyone's talking like this is a seamless transition. Nothing to see here. Everything's going to be fine. And all I'm trying to say, it's not going to be seamless. There's going to be a lot of seams in this transition. And does it work out? We'll find out in February. But I'm just trying to say it's not a slam dunk that most Eagle Homer fans are saying it's going to be. There's a lot of loss and a lot of transition to be held accountable for on this team at this particular moment in time. We'll see. For our greatest trade, I wonder if Brad Lidge. Okay, we can do the second. Man, you guys, do you want me to stay on the air all night long? So going to the Super Bowl the last 2 or 3 years and winning one doesn't mean a thing. The 49ers couldn't beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl year. And the Ravens, okay, 2 to 3 years. Yeah, okay, they won one. Yeah, it means a lot. They won. But are you telling me that this is the Eagles dynasty? They lost in the Super Bowl the first time they made it, 2 years ago? Or was it Super Bowl 57? They lost. I mean, are we giving points for that? They lost. They won last year. They are the Super Bowl champions. Absolutely. Of course, it means a lot. But now we're moving on to the next chapters. Chapter 60, right? With an opportunity to be a dynasty, Michael, to give the city of Philadelphia what it has craved forever, football dominance, NFL supremacy, a dynasty, just like the Patriots, just like the 49ers, just like the Cowboys, just like the Chiefs, a dynasty. And they have an opportunity, as you have pointed out, with the 2 of the 3 years and the 2 Super Bowls in the last 8 years, they have an opportunity to cement that dynasty this year. I don't think they put themselves in the best position to do that. That's all I'm saying. It's not a slam dunk. And as we move through the season, and I'm sure we'll do it, there's going to be a lot of conversations about the defense just ain't the same. Saquon Barkley is tired, and he's not he's like a half a step slower. Why is Jalen Hurts so bad at throwing the football when he has to? There's going to be common conversations that are being brought up, I believe, because this team is not prepared to be a dynasty. They are, in my opinion, a 10-win team, which is nothing to shake a stick at. I don't think they win the division. I think the Commanders do. They make the playoffs. They're a wild card team. They get in, and all bets are off after that. But they have not put themselves, in my opinion, in the best position to continue on the dynasty road. That's all I'm trying to say, man. And I think that's a legitimate grief. 2023, the Chiefs played 3 playoff games on the road in the championship game in Baltimore, and the Ravens couldn't beat them. The Bills consistently lose the Chiefs in the playoff game. Oh, okay, but the Chiefs have also won 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years or 5 years. We can throw the Eagles numbers and throw the Chiefs numbers out. I am not pitting the Bills and the Ravens against the Eagles. I am just saying why can't you give me stuff about the Eagles? Why can't you talk to me about how Keely Ringo is going to ascend to the all-pro status, and Sidney Brown is going to come out of nowhere and play, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is going to be the next Axeman, or Jalix Hunt will hunt. Talk to me about that. Give me numbers to substantiate that. I don't care about the Bills, Ravens, and the damn Chiefs. I don't care about that stuff. I care about the Eagles. And I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. It's about repeating and being a dynasty football team. Are the Eagles, in your opinion, in that position right now? They're not. Now, you can tell me in your opinion they are, and that's fine. I don't think you believe that. I think a lot of the fans out there don't believe that, but they got to say it because the Gestapo's holding a gun to their head. And you can't go against the grain. You can't go against Howie. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, I don't think they did enough. I don't know. I just want Hurts to consistently get 230 to 240 yard passing per. Yeah, now that would go a long way, Ryan, into and again, it's to me, it's not about being elite. I've already kind of put to bed this whole thing. You don't have to be an elite quarterback in order to be a Super Bowl champion. Obviously, you don't. And you also don't have to be an elite quarterback to get to the Hall of Fame. You don't. You gotta be a good quarterback. And Hurts is a good quarterback. But this notion of eliteness and why that's so important for people to have to put next to his name just drives me bonkers, man. It really does. He's not elite. He's good. And he's a Super Bowl champion. I don't know what else do you want. I'm not asking for more. I just consistently around there. Don't care if he never gets 300 yards. Just asking for that. 240, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions every game. Eagles are in a good spot there. The Eagles are in a good place if that happens. I agree with you. When Andy Reid was here, it was the Eagles offense or Jim Johnson's defense that carried Andy's teams. Okay. It was when Andy was here, was it the Eagles offense or Jim Johnson's defense that carried Andy's teams? I think it was a combination of both. Well, I mean, we had a franchise quarterback. We got T.O. Brian Westbrook was one of the most electrifying running backs in Eagles history. I thought it was both. I thought they played off each other so well, and that's why they were a 14-year dominant run atop the NFC. It was both. 100% both. They were a very good team with good coaches and coordinators. You guys had the best wide receiver coordinator in football, and you can't consistently get around 230, 240 yards every game. Again, not asking for more than that. Go with your bad self, Ryan. Michael Patrick, you have a quarterback name. Did you play quarterback? All right, listen, guys, you have kept me going almost 2 hours. We might have set a record tonight for the longest show. Before we get to our final segment, though, I do want to shout out some of the other programming here on this show, on the network. Don't forget the wraparound every Friday at 10:30 with Pat Bernard. He's coming at you, bearing all his whatever he does. Every Thursday night at 9 for all you Union heads out there and all you MLS freaks. It's the Attacking Third with Pat Bernard and Steve Finentes. every Thursday at 9, and then every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. It's the Pat Bernard Experience with Mike Lauro on the PNM and the AM with Big Al Zafiri producing. Al will not be on the show this Sunday because of Delco Day, whatever the hell that is. He'll be participating in that. And then starting this football season, season 6, by the way, of the Birds Blast. This is our 6th season, me and Kyle together, doing the quintessential and Eagle pregame show entertainment here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, coming to you at the end of August. And hopefully for, all intents and purposes, lasting through the middle of February, like we did last year. By the way, our first Super Bowl championship season together, me and Kyle. That was fun. So all that greatness that we have. Oh, and tomorrow night, the Phillies will try to make it 2 in a row against those Toronto Blue Jays. It'll be Pat Bernard on the call, as he will have you for the Fightins Final. And our Fightins Final host standings are out through 60 games. I released them earlier. I continue to lead the way in that race. So I am 16-6 now as your host of the Fightins Final. I continue to dominate. But make sure you're checking out the Fightins Final. And that's going to bring me to my final segment, which is our favorite segment. All right. The carded, or not the carded. See, now she's got me saying carded. The MattyB's card review segment. Let's just deal with this first. Donovan had T.O. for 1 year before Westbrook and T.O. We had Deuce and Pinkston and Chad Lewis and Freddie Mitchell. Okay. So let me ask you this there, Michael. Would you rather take Jalen Hurts over Donovan McNabb? Would you rather have Donovan McNabb throwing to Devontae Smith and Jesus Christ, A.J. Brown? Would you rather have the Donovan throwing to them, or would you rather have Jalen Hurts? Did Donovan make his wide receivers better? He did, right? Obviously he did, because he's throwing to Chad Lewis and Todd Pinkston. Don't bag on Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis was a hell of a tight end. Broke his leg in the back of the end zone in the 2004 NFC Championship game against the Falcons, celebrating that touchdown that iced the game. But again, and Freddie Mitchell, 4th and 26. Come on, man. Really? You're going to downplay 4th and 26? When was the last time A.J. Brown made that kind of catch, or Devontae Smith? Come on, man. And Brian Westbrook was one of the most, if not the most, electrifying running back in Eagle history. It came out of Villanova in like the 6th round of the draft. So come on, man. Listen, I don't know where you're going with this. I would take that offense over this offense in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Yeah, maybe some better wide receivers. I ain't going to live my life with Pinkston and James Thrash and all those guys. I get you there. But I would take Chad Lewis over Dallas Goedert. I would take Brian Westbrook over potentially Saquon Barkley this year. Right? Definitely take him over Shipley and goddamn what's his name? AJ Dillon. And Deuce Staley, man. I'd take Deuce. That was a great squad, man. And with Donovan, Deuce made no more Super Bowls. The defense was carrying those teams till T.O. got here, or Westbrook. Westbrook was here for the whole thing. You're misunderstanding. Yeah, I think you're misrepresenting the era of that time. They got the 1 Super Bowl, and they lost in 5 championship games, or got the 4 of them? Yeah, I got you, man. They didn't break free. They were missing a piece, and that piece was T.O., obviously. It was an offensive piece, right? It was T.O. And then Donovan kind of wilted down the stretch of his career as well. I'm not – listen. They won the Super Bowl. It's great. So why can't we talk about Nick Foles and that crew in the same light you're going to talk about Jalen Hurts and this crew? What is so special about Jalen Hurts in this group that Nick Foles and that group did? Or what's so different about it? Right now, they've won 1 each. Again, I'm not going to sit here and compare all the winning football eras of Eagle history. I'm not going to do that. We'll be here all night. Again, this is what homers do. Michael, I didn't catch you as an Eagle homer, man. You desperately want validity. You desperately want to be recognized as something more than I think it is. They won the Super Bowl. First of all, it wasn't the first Super Bowl championship. It was the second one. Why is Nick Foles not given the same type of shade that Jalen Hurts is? Right? Nick Foles won the Super Bowl MVP as well. And I'll be honest with you, he deserves it more than Jalen Hurts did. Why are we not giving the same recognition to that? Why aren't you throwing numbers back and forth between Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, and why can't I think of his name? Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert and James Small. Why aren't we doing that with the wide receivers? Why can't we go against that era? The Eagle homers want to desperately be validated for having something great here. And I'm not saying that there isn't something great here, but I'm also saying that I don't think the moves were made to put them back. If you're relying on the Eagle offense to take it to a Super Bowl next year, you're going to be disappointed. I truly believe that. You'll be disappointed. The Eagles offense will not get you to a Super Bowl. They're going to need their defense. They proved that last season. Because without handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley, what else was there? Why did they start to hand off the ball to Saquon Barkley? Because it wasn't working before with the passing. Again, we forget that. And that's okay. They got the Super Bowl and they won it. Now let's see what they can do with it. Donovan, again, I'm not going to sit here and compare Donovan. Donovan did not win a Super Bowl. I got you. But Nick Foles did. Let's talk about Nick Foles. Hello? Let's talk about Doug Peterson versus Nick Sirianni. I didn't see Nick Sirianni coming up with the Philly special in the Super Bowl. He didn't have to because his defense won in that game. Saying, man. Just saying, brother. Tonight on the MattyB card review segment, we are going to go back to the 87 tops. Can't seem to get away from it. We were back there last night with Ryan Sandberg. We're going back to the Cubs too, by the way. Another 87 Cubs player. But this is a unique card because this is one of those cards that some sets, especially the older wax pack sets cards, actually have this happen a lot. Where you have a player who ends up having multiple cards on multiple teams in the same set. So what I mean by that is, say, for example, in 1986, this player played for said team. And then they were either traded during the trade deadline or early on in the offseason to another team, and they end up getting another card somehow slid into that 87, or in this case, 87 series. And tonight's card is one such player. And it's a player that we know very well here in this town. It's not a player that played here, but he did manage here. And that is the 1987 Terry Francona. That's it. Terry Francona from the Chicago Cubs. Now, for those of you that have baseball junkie problems like I do, you remember Terry Francona fondly on his playing days with the Montreal Expos. But he did spend 1 year in 86 with the Cubs before signing in 87 with the Reds. Now, that's where this gets convoluted because he actually has also in that 87 top set, he's got a Cincinnati Red baseball card. Now, tonight we're talking about his Cubs card, but he has two cards in the 87 tops set, the Cubs and the Reds. Francona was a spark plug type player. He was a your quintessential pinch hitter type player back in the day. 274 career batting average, 16 homers, 143 RBIs as a player with the Expos, Cubs, Reds, Cleveland Indians, and the Brewers. And of course, as manager was where he's most notably. Phillies, Red Sox, where he went on a World Series tear. The Cleveland Indians and the Cincinnati Reds is where he is managed. I totally forgot he was with Cincinnati. He is with Cincinnati this year. So Terry Francona, I guess, is also one of those players whose card might be a little bit more valuable because of his managerial tenure versus his playing tenure. Not really that all-inspiring of a player, but this card in a raw form is about a $5 baseball card. If you have the one that has the wrong backing to it, so there's a card floating around out there that 87 tops Francona, where it has Francona's the front of this card that I'm showing you, but on the back it has another player's stat line. Ray Fontenot is the player that's on the back of that card. It's an error card that's worth about $12. But if you had this card in raw form, you're looking at about a $5 baseball card. That's really not, I mean, that's pretty impressive for a player that was, he was meh throughout his entire career as a player, and more so, better, obviously, as a manager. And this might be one of those cases where the managerial prowess of the player supersedes the playing prowess of one said Terry Francona. So tonight's card review is that iconic 87 tops with that wood paneling background or border, Terry Francona with the Chicago Cubs. And boy, can I pick out the obscure cards, can I? And here's mine. Here's my Terry Francona. There's actually 3 of them in here. I have 3 of these cards. I don't have any of the Reds cards. If I did, I'd show it to you, but I don't. I have it right here. I'm sitting on about $15 worth of baseball cards right here. Woohoo! But there you have it. Tonight's card review, the Terry Francona. Not much really to review there. It's not. It's pretty basic of why you think, or why I think Francona is on this list, or why he, why his card is actually valuable. What else? Why it's valuable at all? I love Nick Foles, but he's not better than Jalen Hurts. Why? Why is he not? If you look at his stat lines, matter of fact, do I have it? I kept it. Oh, do I have it? Geez, why are you doing this to me, man? It's too late. I think I do have this. So let me look it up. Let me look this up for you, because I think you might be a little. Oh man, I don't know if I can find it. I don't know if. You know what? Let me do this. Oh. Of course, I'll find it the minute I go off the air. No, that's not it. Oh, man. All right, try Nick. Nope. Oh, man. You guys are killing me right now, man. I have a stat here that's actually puts that a little bit on jeopardy too, about the better quarterback, Jalen Hurts or Nick Foles, stat-wise at least. And if you're going to talk Super Bowls, they're both 1-1. Again, it's people trying to push a narrative. They're just trying to push Jalen Hurts out there in front, forgetting about the rich history of this team and all the players that have preceded them, by somehow crowning Jalen Hurts this elite player who took the Eagles to a Super Bowl, which is completely further from the truth that he did that. Jalen Hurts was actually one of the more least contributors to the Super Bowl championship, in my opinion. We could have won it without him, basically. Oh man, where is it? I owe it to you, Michael. I'll find it. I'll get it up for you. But it'll be we'll talk about that tomorrow too. That'll be a good conversation for tomorrow's show. I feel bad I can't find that. Was it Doug or Drank who came up with the Philly? Doug or Drank? I would imagine it was somebody. Doug or Frank is somebody on the team. They were a great team, great manager. Jalen gets killed for having a great defense, but this year the Chiefs beat the 49ers. They had number 1 defense across the board. It's not Jalen's fault. This team had a great season. I'm not saying that it is, but are you honestly going to look at me in the face and say Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback? Based on what? Give me the reason why he is. And don't tell me because Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb got drunk in the Super Bowl. Tell me why Jalen Hurts is is an elite. Sorry, not great, but elite quarterback. Why? So again, if you use your brain, this thing up here, and you take Jalen Hurts out of the equation in 2024, take him out. Just take him out, completely out. Do the Eagles still win a Super Bowl? It's hard to say that because obviously that didn't happen. But when you look at the other contributing factors of this team winning, the defense and Saquon, you take Jalen out of that, do the Eagles still have a legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl? 100%. You take Saquon's contributions away from the Eagles last year, do the Eagles still have a legitimate chance of winning a Super Bowl? I say no. You take the defense away from it, do the Eagles have a legitimate chance of winning a Super Bowl last year? I say no. Because you don't have the quarterback that's elite. You have a good, above average game managing quarterback who cannot read defenses and is not allowed to throw the ball to the middle of the field. That's fine. He won a Super Bowl. That's what it's all about anyway. But to say he's something that he's not is ridiculous. And to look at me in the eye and tell me that he deserved that Super Bowl MVP, that's even more ridiculous than you telling me he's elite. Okay? So it's not Jalen's fault the Eagles had a great defense. I'm not saying it's his fault. He's a benefactor of it. He reveled in it. He enjoyed it. He succeeded because of it. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. Thank you, Joe. This is long. 2 hours. We setting records tonight, man. Nick Foles had 27 touchdowns, 13 attempts, most yes ever. That's in one season, or that's a couple seasons. I have a stat. I it's too late for me to look for it. I'll have it for you for next show. I promise. You're going to see some numbers that are going to blow your mind, and it's especially in the turnover department, which Jalen Hurts is not good at all. But that'll have to wait to another show. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for a record-breaking session of a 2-hour Final Word with MattyB. I will be back tomorrow night, or tonight, actually, after the Titans final, and we'll get the phone lines rolling. We'll have so much fun. We'll do what we got to do. You guys have yourselves a great night. I will see you tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves.